What's up, guys? Welcome to the July 11th edition of the Raw Review. How are you guys doing? It's still boiling hot here. Other than that, I really don't know what else to tell you. No big loaded weekend like I came off of last weekend, but life is life. I will be doing a review for Destination X. I haven't done it yet, and I know getting this Raw review out of the way before reviewing Destination X is kind of fuckety, but it's not a WWE pay-per-view, so it's not as bad. Truth be told, I watched it Saturday, I watched it again today, and I'm going to watch it again tomorrow because there's a lot of stuff that happened in that pay-per-view, a lot of matches, that I honestly don't know what I think about yet. So, to be fair, I'm going to watch them again and see if I can't clarify my thoughts on them before I spew them out for you guys to see, and I'm sure you will wait with bated breath for that. Okay, July 11th, Raw. Obviously opens with CM Punk. Everything from now until Money in the Bank is going to open with Punk, isn't it? He's the promo machine, as I wrote in one of my other reviews. I wouldn't be surprised if he crashed SmackDown on Friday to have one last say before Money in the Bank. But anyways, he came out tonight after having his microphone cut off in the middle of his rant 2 weeks ago. He came out with a megaphone just in case. He compared his mic skills to a pipe bomb, which I thought was rather apt. Went into a big spiel about this is why I was suspended, this is why I was suspended. Vince McMahon is scared of me, he's scared of the effect that I have on everything, he's scared that I'm going to take the belt away, and this and that and whatever. And he's so scared of me, he wants me back, and now he's willing to do anything that I want, and he's willing to give me anything that I want in order to hold on to me in the WWE. So CM Punk turns around and demands a live in-ring contract negotiation, which I thought was fucking brilliant. Little thought on CM Punk. We all love the promo work that he does, especially lately. When he first came in, even when he was face, he pulled a good promo. When he was heel, he pulled a good promo. When he was leading the Straight Edge Society, he did some absolutely diabolical, evil, convincing stuff. Not so much with the Nexus, because the Nexus was kind of a flop when he got there, and especially now. And we all love him. He's all got the charisma to take him to the moon. But it occurred to me one of the reasons why I like him personally. Several people have commented on it before as the fact that he will come into the ring and he will actually sit down cross-legged and make his speech, make whatever he has to say from there, rather than storming around the ring and ranting and this and that and the next thing like a Randy Orton would do, or back in the day like a Steve Austin or a heel Triple H would have done. It reminds me a lot, and you guys know I've made mention of it before. I was a very intermittent fan of WCW when it was around. Big WWE fan, but I always kept an eye sort of on WCW, especially towards the end. But I was a big fan when it was in its prime, when it was at its sort of apex. I was a big fan of Raven's Flock and the type of character that Raven was at the time. And he would come down not giving a shit. And when he gave his promos, he was slumped down on the very bottom ring post, as if he was just talking to himself, as if he was totally oblivious to the fact that there was anybody else around him, whether the flock was there, whether the commentators, the referees, the crowd, his opponent were there or not. He would just sit there, and it was very surreal almost, and it's the same sort of feeling that CM Punk gives off when he starts his promos in that way, and I like it. He's interrupted by Cena. They have some back and forth. He pops up out of nowhere. The first thing I'm going to do when I get my hands on that belt is get a better one, because it's been way too ugly for way too long. I'm pretty sure, although the crowd was absolutely jacked for this entire segment, that got the biggest pop of the opening segment. We get a lot of blah 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 Superman bullshit from Cena, and he's eventually interrupted by the general manager, who says not only is Vince on his way to confront Punk, but Cena is going to have a handicap match against the guys from the Nexus, being David Otunga and Mike McGillicuddy. So that happens right away. Cena obviously Supermans over both of them, but Nexus just the two of them as a tag team, without Mason Ryan, without any of the rest of the guys, without CM Punk even being there, these guys are on their own a really strong looking tag team, or at least on their way to being a strong tag team, which is good, isn't it, when they hold the tag team titles. There was a lot of things mentioned by the commentators during this first match that I'm gonna mention in my score and fail at the end, so I'll leave it for now. But when we get there, I will comment on what I thought of those. Come back from break, we have a great video highlight package of the Big Show Mark Henry rivalry, and that's it. I lost my train of thought. I'm really sorry. We talk about how... Oh, no, we don't. Never mind. Never mind. I shouldn't do these friggin' at 20 past midnight. Leave me alone. We cut to the back with Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, and Vicky Guerrero talking about how they would tell Vince to run the company and how they would criticize him and this and that and whatever. And the more they boast and the more they make fun of Vince, the more you know he's going to show up right behind them and tell them off and rah, and such and such. So he does. He tells them off and he lets them know in no uncertain terms that they've been caught. He then sets up a handicap match. Fuck, I can't talk tonight. Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler versus The Big Show, and we all know the state of mind that The Big Show is in. Oh, yes. Next, we have the Divas match, which was still a piss break, but I will say it was great to see Melina again. We haven't seen Melina in a long time because it's been so dominated by the Bellas, Kelly Kelly, and Eve Torres recently. I'm going to put a thought that I was actually sharing with one of my other friends from here on Facebook as we were watching Raw. We all know John Cena is Super Cena. Mysterio is Mini Cena. Kelly Kelly is the John Cena-ette of the Divas division right now. She's not really bringing anything to the ring, but she's got all the momentum and all the push behind her. And it really makes me sad because I could really see this push being behind Karma if Karma's situation wasn't the way her situation is. Although, you know, I wish Karma great luck in whatever she's currently doing family-wise and all that sort of thing. I think if Karma was here and getting that push, it would be phenomenal because there wouldn't be a diva standing right now, really, would there? Conceivably, the only ones that would take her down would be Gail Kim, and that's only because it happened in TNA, or somebody like Beth Phoenix and Natalya, who aren't getting a push at all, which is bullshit, and we have the Barbie dolls pulling each other's hair from now until the end of time. Like I say, haven't seen Melina in a while. It was cool to see her. She had this... I think what she was trying to pull off was like a super aggressive, almost female brawler type style that she was trying to pull off. I don't know if it was 100% successful. I was just happy to see somebody other than the Bellas, even Kelly. So that's that. It was, 1 point off of being a piss break. I'll give it that much. We have a promo, and apparently Rey Mysterio has another DVD coming out. Yes! Thank you, Mini Cena. We get it. Now, Miz comes out. He has all the ladders set up in the ring, obviously, because he's going to give this big dramatic bit of promo business. He comes out, he says how he's won before, he says how he's, bigger, badder, better, and, nobody else has even had the same experiences that he's had in Money in the Bank. He is, of course, then cut off by Jack Swagger, who, gets in his face, and they think the two of them are going to fight. And then Bourne, who's got his rivalry with Swagger, comes out and says, you guys are talking about the past. You guys need to think about the future, and the future is going to be me getting that Money in the Bank and stealing the show at the pay-per-view. He's interrupted by Kofi Kingston, who makes mention of all the people that have injured themselves very, very severely in matches like these in the past, most notably being Edge, because he just left. It's the most effective, da-da-da-da-da. He's interrupted by Truth, who says it's a big conspiracy because he's got arachnophobia and acphobia, whatever fear of heights and fear of spiders is, and then he goes off on some spiel about how there's probably spiders in the briefcase, which is kind of odd. Alex Riley comes out, doesn't say very much, chases off The Miz. Alberto Del Rio from the stageway cuts a pissed off promo that you knew he was going to cut because he was named the #1 contender last week before CM Punk was brought back. So that actually made a lot of sense. There was a lot of pissed off anger and energy from Alberto Del Rio that we haven't seen from him in a while. It was more than him just being cocky. It was actually him speaking somewhat angrily, somewhat with conviction, somewhat with passion, more than I expected from Alberto Del Rio. You guys know I'm not a big fan of his to begin with, but I will give him credit for that. Anyways, the general manager dings in and says Miz, Swagger, and Truth are going to take on Bourne, Alex Riley, and Kofi Kingston right now. This was a great showcase of a match. If this is the match with 6 of the 8 guys, well, Rey Mysterio and Alberto Del Rio weren't in this match because Rey Mysterio wasn't there, and you can't have a 4-on-3 match. But it was 6 of the 8 guys that are going to fight at Money in the Bank. 6 young guys, 6 guys all at varying degrees of ability, varying degrees of popularity. And the whole match, I can't really pinpoint one spot in the match, but the whole match came together really, really well. Even the guys that I don't necessarily have a lot of time for, like Kofi Kingston, Jack Swagger, like guys that I don't always have time for as a fan, were pulling their weight and put in the right spots in this match. Alex Riley pins Jack Swagger, which is great, because it means Alex Riley has a pin against somebody else other than The Miz, because you don't want to get the idea that this is a brand new guy and his one trick is fighting with The Miz all the time. So that was really good for him. Of course, Miz jumps him after the match. Alberto Del Rio comes in after they've all laid each other out, lays them all out with chairs. Or not chairs, what the fuck? Oh, this is going to be a horrible video because I'm very, very tired. Lays them all out with ladders, yes. We come back from the break and we have a whole video recap once again of all the stuff that's going on with Punk and Cena and McMahon. So, just to get us all jacked up for when Vince gets there and when Vince walks out to the ring and this and that. Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler versus The Big Show was basically Dolph Ziggler hiding behind the ring and Big Show squashing Drew McIntyre, taking him up to the stageway after he's counted out. He's about to chokeslam Drew McIntyre. It would appear anyway. He's about to chokeslam Drew McIntyre off the edge of the stageway when Mark Henry comes out of nowhere and spears them both off the stage, including himself. So you've got this giant, massive man hitting another giant, massive man who's trying to chokeslam another tall, scrawny man, and they all crash off the one side of the stage. I'm really not sure what 2 competitors that are supposed to be facing each other at a pay-per-view in like 7 days, 6 days, both getting injured, purpose served. I'm pretty sure their story's already pretty solid. They could have just left it, but they didn't. We have a recap of the card for Sunday. Divas match that nobody gives a shit about. Mark Henry versus Big Show. Yeah, you guys know how I feel about big guy on big guy matches. Kind of boring unless they really, really surprise me. The Raw and SmackDown Money in the Bank matches. The Raw one, I'm not going to go look for all the names right now, but the Raw one looks okay. The SmackDown one is just like, what the hell? Like, they just grabbed anybody that didn't have a storyline or anything else to do that day and threw it in there. It's one of my biggest problems with there being a Money in the Bank pay-per-view. A, there's a very select group of people that should be put in a ladder match at all. B, there shouldn't be 2 ladder matches in 2 Money in the Bank ladder matches on the same show. 3, the fact you can tell that WWE doesn't care as much about who they put in the ladder matches simply because it's not a part of WrestleMania and the standard isn't as high. That's all I'm going to say about that. And then you've got Cena versus Punk with everything that's going on right now between those two. And Christian versus Orton again. And if Christian... I'm really, really scared that Christian's going to win and then somebody's going to cash in on him that night and fuck him over again. I mean... It's written on the wall that they're not going to give Christian a long title run at this point. Or at least that's the way they're making it seem. The potential possibilities of what's going on with Cena and Punk speak for themselves. Vince comes out, calls out Punk. Vince cowers behind a desk and offers CM Punk a new contract. Punk says, no, my attorneys and every wrestler has an attorney. Do you notice that? Is that not a little fucked? Like, here's this guy complaining that he's so mistreated, yet he has the money to get a lawyer. And if you read a little bit more into that, what kind of lawyer would you have to go up against Vince McMahon? Really? But anyways, his lawyers have drawn him up his own contract. Then Punk just goes into another tirade. I can't even highlight it with bullet points or anything like that. It's just Punk does his thing. He actually gets an apology out of Vince. Um, he talks once again about guys that have been screwed over, like Luke Gallows, which got a big pop actually, considering Luke Gallows wasn't that big in the WWE. But he's hinting at other wrestlers and things, and talking about how Vince McMahon does not know what makes a wrestler in 2011. You need to apologize to these people for not giving a shit what they want. It was fucking brilliant. Cena came down, and I'm thinking, okay, here comes Super Cena. He's going to ruin this amazing promo. Admittedly, not as bad as you would think. These guys went at each other. Promo-wise, Cena's not on Punk's level, for sure, but he held his own. I will give him that. He went on to tell Cena how basically what we all know, what we all on YouTube have been saying for months and months and years, that John Cena is the personification of what is wrong with wrestling right now. And that was basically it. He got an apology out of Vince, which was fucking brilliant. The stuff that CM Punk is doing right now against Vince McMahon would make Steve Austin proud. Because Austin and McMahon had a feud, and for their own reasons. Austin because he was the great fighter and he was going to kick your ass, and Vince because he had all the power. They went head to head, and it was a good, solid, equal fight in that way. This, Vince McMahon is kowtowing like a bitch, and it's like, oh yeah. He even had it written into his contract that The Rock and John Cena were not going to be the main event at next year's WrestleMania, which I thought was brilliant. And then he got some other things. He wants to be on. He wants his face on the turnbuckles. He wants them to bring back the WWE ice cream bars and all this other stuff, which was great. And he mouthed off to Cena, got punched in the face, and left. Ultimately, taking his own contract that he wrote up and saying, "Screw you guys, I'm done. There's going to be by the time I leave Money in the Bank on Sunday, there's going to be no WWE title, there's going to be no John Cena, and there's going to be no CM Punk." And he sits there and he rips up the contract, which was fucking brilliant. Everything that Punk has done to this point, everything in the past 3 weeks, overshadows anything that I may, and there were only one or two little things, but anything that I may not have liked about Punk has been completely expunged from memory. Like, anyway, so that was the end of the show before I completely go and pontificate on my opinions on Punk more and more and more. Scores, fails, and MVPs. Okay, like, you don't know that MVP is going to be CM Punk for tonight. Until he's gone, I'm pretty sure he's going to dominate the MVP portion of these videos, so if that is the case, please don't be surprised. Unless, Miz and Alex Riley really start stepping it up again, unless somebody does something tremendous in one of the Money in the Bank matches. Unless Christian and Randy Orton pull something completely out of their ass, which I doubt at this point, the way that rivalry's going. And don't get me started, because then I'll have to start doing SmackDown reviews, and I'm not always home. So, yeah. Alright. In the score category, I mentioned earlier in this video, during the Nexus versus John Cena match, there was a lot of things said by the commentators about the importance of the Punk Cena match and the effect that Punk winning would have on the WWE in the absence of the WWE title. And Cole compares Punk to WCW. He says, not since WCW, the WCW when it was in its own glory, and the WCW Invasion, if we remember that, has there been such a significant threat to the WWE and its image. Which I thought was great. Like, for something that Cole came up with, and, we all know our opinions on him right now, that was a great little bit to stick in there to, it grabs, this whole rivalry is for the older fans, and that's a slip in that the older fans are going to get, and the younger fans won't know what he's talking about, so they won't care, so it works on all levels. The Divas match was a Divas match, but Melina in tight black outfits works for me. Mentioned it before, the Nexus tag team of McGillicuddy and Otunga, when all the other bullshit and nonsense is out of the way, the two of them as a team are growing as a tag team, and as a believable tag team. Really, really hoping that we're going to see a rivalry between them and Slater and Gabriel eventually. Love to see either or both of those teams go up against the Usos some more. Ryder and Hawkins are rumored to be getting back together. So before Zack Ryder was this woo 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 idiot. When Hawkins and Ryder were with Edge, and they were the Edge Heads or whatever the hell they were called at the time, when they were a team, and when they just broke off with Edge and they were still that tag team, I liked them as a tag team. So no, I'm not cheering for the woo 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 idiot on YouTube. I'm cheering for the hope that these two will get back together, and if that happens, my personal opinion, you're going to have 4 decent tag teams to at least start a tag team division with. I'm sure a lot of people will disagree. The box is there for a reason. We will move on. Alberto Del Rio spewed an incredible and unpredicted, or not unpredicted, surprising, I'll say, because that's better English, surprising amount of intensity in his portion of that pile of promos from the Money in the Bank participants. He's in the score category for me only because I usually don't give the guy much credit, and he really surprised me, really impressed me tonight. So he's there. The 6-man tag, in general, was just a great match. It was a great showcase of those 6 guys, and like I say, even the ones I'm not that fond of were applying their craft, were showing what they can do in the ring in that match, and nobody really looked bad. And if you can have a match where the losers and the winners both come out looking good, that's the key indicator of a good match, isn't it? When CM Punk was in the middle of his tirade with Vince McMahon, standing over Vince was sitting at a desk and Punk was standing over him most of it. The symbolism of that alone is beautiful, but when Punk starts getting up from his crouch down position and actually walking around the ring and starts mocking the Vince McMahon walk, it was friggin' all the little things that Punk does are fucking beautiful, and he hardly misses a beat. He's intense when he's supposed to be intense. He's calm and sort of cerebral and almost surreal when he needs to be, and it's a balance, and it comes in waves, and it's just fucking artwork. Somebody, if you haven't seen Raw, like tonight or 2 weeks ago when he gave his big rant, go YouTube, bookmark it like I did, be a mark, enjoy what the hell this guy's doing, because if he's actually leaving, and there's a small mark part of me that hopes he comes back on Raw next week and says, fuck you all, I was kidding, and I've got the belt, and by the way, fuck you all. But if he is leaving and he's going out on this high note, go bookmark it now, right now, do it. Now we go to the fails, and here we go. I talked about Cole comparing Punk to WCW, and that being a huge shot in the arm for this match specifically. Lawler, on the other hand, was trying to instill some pride in the WWE, instill some pride in the WWE Championship, and why we should be behind John Cena. And he says there's been 40 people that have held the WWE title since its inception, since Buddy Rogers, and Cena has represented the title just as good or better than any of them. The asinine nature of that statement alone cannot be overstated. That means that Jerry Lawler, who I have a lot of respect for, both as a wrestler and as a commentator, is saying that he's better than Flair, he's better than Hogan, he's better than Savage, he's better than Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Austin, Bret Hart, Lex Luger, Yokozuna, Undertaker on numerous occasions, Kane. Just no. Melina should be the next women's champion, as far as I'm concerned. Get rid of the butterfly belt, take the Divas division a little bit more seriously, bring back people like Gail Kim, Beth Phoenix, Mickie James if we could ever be lucky enough to get her back, but we won't. We just won't, and Natalya as well. The fact, just with the lineage Natalya has, the fact that she's not in the running or already holding the belt is a fucking abomination, as far as I'm concerned. Drew McIntyre was in there tonight in the handicap match with Dolph. Where the fuck is Drew McIntyre, the chosen one, been? Like, he came in like a house of fire, and then he roared down to a whimper. Pathetic. I'm not saying he's the best guy ever, but, like, he disappears, and then all of a sudden he's, like, fish food for the Big Show to show how powerful he is before he fights Mark Henry. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Comparing Punk to Austin once more, and the comparison point is obviously both of their rivalries with Vince. Like I said before, Vince looks strong, in his rivalry with Austin, in his dealings with CM Punk and John Cena over the past couple weeks, Vince McMahon, or the Mr. McMahon character, has been reduced to a sniveling little bitch. Which, I can't stand McMahon, but I want to not be able to stand them as a strong character. I don't want to just be like, what the fuck happened to you, dude? It's like stepping into a boxing match and the guy falling down before you guys even get started. It's like, no, get the fuck up. I want to knock you out while you're actually fighting. Like, he's scared of Cena, and he's scared of CM Punk, and it's that inmates running the asylum type of atmosphere. And we don't see the Mr. McMahon character much anymore anyway, so when we do, I would love to see him strong. I'd love to see him strong so that when he is defeated by Cena, by Punk, by Austin, if Austin ever came back, the person that defeated him, or took him down a peg, looks strong. If he just comes into the whole situation like a sniveling little bitch, then whoever destroys him doesn't get any rub off it, do they? None whatsoever. Anyways, that's it, guys. I don't know when this week I'm going to get my review for Destination X up. I'm not even going to hazard a guess because I don't want to lie to you guys. Anyways, it is 1:45 and I'm fucking tired. I've been Spaz. Subscribe up there, talk down there, let me know what you think, start a conversation, and I will talk to you later. Bye, guys.